TC, the only place to get action, excitement, and entertainment all under one roof. Parks, Casino, and Sportsbook. They've got it all. The only casino and sportsbook that I recommend. It's the $60,000 Patio Paradise Sweepstakes. Wow. Exclusively at Parks, Casino, and Sportsbook. Now through June 17, earn entries for a chance to win the grand prize and make your patio a paradise of your dreams. I love my patio. I love sitting on my patio.
Love your patio.
Yeah.
You love it.
Because
I love your patio.
At this time of year, the
foliage,
it all fills in.
Yes, exactly.
If you came in February, you'd never believe me if I said to you, it's totally screened in the summer when you want to be outside.
Right.
Don't miss the $60,000 Patio Paradise Sweepstakes happening now through June 17 at Parks Casino and Sportsbook. Get tickets for these top headliners coming soon to the state-of-the-art Excite Center. Bush, Tesla, the Australian Pink Floyd, Lewis Black. For tickets and a complete list of upcoming shows, visit parkscasino.com. This is how you win. You got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. TC, more headlines now from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. So my old friend, I'm doing the air quote thing, Roger Waters.
Oh, dear.
Back in the news.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what my biggest surprise in the story that says pressure builds on O2 Arena to rethink decision to allow Roger Waters to perform next week? The biggest surprise to me about this story that now there's pressure being brought on this prestigious, this is like the Madison Square Garden of the UK.
What?
Pressure brought to cancel him. Don't let him perform.
What is it?
Biggest surprise?
Yeah.
That he's doing 3 nights.
Oh. He's like the Taylor Swift of the...
I guess. No, I was really surprised that I don't know how the ticket sales are for them, but you wouldn't think there's a third night,
right?
Unless you're doing well with the first 2.
I guess so.
So remember, he blamed me. He blamed me for lack of sales in the United States for the interview that I did with him on CNN.
Well, now he has no one else but himself to blame.
I don't know who he's blaming. Right.
Come on.
But here's the thing. I gotta just educate a little bit about this.
Go ahead.
So here's the story. It says, religious leaders and politicians have questioned the O2's decision to platform controversial Pink Floyd co-founder Roger Waters. Waters, 79, is currently being investigated by German police over his actions at a Berlin concert last week. He wore what has been described as an SS-style outfit with a red armband. This led to hundreds of protesters turning out at a subsequent concert in Frankfurt. There's nothing new here. He's been dressing as such since the first time I saw Roger Waters performing with Pink Floyd in the Wall Tour.
Really?
Long Island, New York, 1980.
Whoa.
So I'm like,
wait, he's been dressing
surprised?
as a Nazi since 1980 and we're only discussing it now?
Well, no. The point is, it was all like a part of the act. It was all a part of the Wall concept, of Pink Floyd being replaced by a surrogate band. And they came out dressed as Nazis. I literally have a photo album, not Nazis per se, like there were not swastikas, but the imagery was undeniably Nazi-like. It was all a part of the explanation of the Wall and what he thought the band was becoming.
Okay.
Too complicated for me.
But there's a lot going on there. It's been going on since 1980. Why are we making a big deal about it now?
Thank you.
Okay.
Why was I all tongue-tied?
I don't know.
He's been doing this a long time.
Huh.
He's been doing this a long time.
I guess when the spotlight gets on you because of some things you've said, everything else comes to the surface and is a situation. It's the only thing I
think
can
some
think
people
of.
are looking at him in a vacuum. And what I was going to say is I literally have an old school photo album of images that I took at the concert that night. Actually, taken by the brother of my girlfriend in high school.
Oh.
Because he had the telephoto lens in his drawers as we went through the turnstile.
Not in his
Is that a telephoto lens, or are you just happy to be at the concert, sir?
So you really meant drawers, not like bureau. You meant underwear.
Yeah, he had a big-ass camera with him, and it took incredible pictures, and I have them.
Okay.
I have it. So I can prove what I'm telling
Yes, you can.
that he's been doing this a long time. I want to say something else because I've had a lot of exchanges with Roger.
Okay, there's more.
I can tell you he thrives on this. He loves it.
He must.
He loves it. And when I first interviewed him for CNN in Miami,
Yes.
He was on tour. This feels like it's 5 or 7 years ago.
That's when there were accusations of anti-Semitism.
Yes. And what happened is he would recruit in every place he would go. He would go to like a boys and girls club. Someone would do this on his behalf in advance of the show. And he would recruit a choir, and they would come out and be the chorus, I guess I should say, for Another Brick in the Wall,
Right.
Part 4. Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone. And there'd be like these young kids singing on stage, and they were always from the town where he was performing. It was very cool.
Kids' voices, yeah.
So he rolls into Miami, and in this instance, the mayor, I think, of Miami Beach puts the kibosh on a local city-funded group providing that aspect of that night's show because he said, the mayor, Roger Waters is anti-Semitic, and I don't want the Boys and Girls Club of Miami Beach participating. I may be wrong in the affiliation and so forth, but trust me, the basic facts are accurate. So the shit hit the fan the day of the show. I remember this, as a matter of fact. I was in my hotel room, and I was supposed to go to the sound check for that night's show, and then
local kids pulled from performance with Pink Floyd singer at the American Airlines Arena.
What year was this?
2017, July 12th, 2017.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Local kids ages 10 to 15 were chosen from the Miami TALL program. Going to join Another Brick in the Wall.
Yep.
And then the Greater Miami Jewish Federation posted charges of anti-Semitism, and they were told that they could not be on the stage.
Right. So I was supposed to go and watch the sound check, and I remember being in my hotel room close to departure time. I was going to be in like his entourage, right? Not riding with him, but in his entourage. At least that's how I remember it. And I get a phone call in the room, and it's from his tour manager who says, hey, we got a big problem. Can you come down to the lobby? I'm like, wow, what's going on here? And they then tell me the story, and they were scrambling to find another group of kids who that night could perform. Anyway, I ended up interviewing him backstage for what was then my Facebook video.
Oh, yeah, before we did YouTube.
And it got a huge traction where he laid out for me the whole story and said, I'm not anti-Semitic. Here's my view of the world. It was like a big, big deal.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that he thrives on the controversy that surrounds this.
Controversy.
Right.
Please.
For an event like this. And there's nothing new here. This has been who he is for a long, long time, and and he loves it.
Yeah.
From the wide world of news.
Hey, how about that?
From the wide world of news.
Because I read Mark Halperin every morning,
So do
scrolling
I.
down, and there you are.
He said Bobby Kennedy did 2 landmark interviews on Monday, the 55th anniversary of his father's assassination, one with Michael Smerconish and the other with Elon Musk.
How about that?
Both sessions, it does sound kind of funny, doesn't it?
Right.
Both sessions included other players involved in conversations, and then he linked to the Smerconish colloquy, as he put it. They discuss how RFK views the death of his father and uncle, his position on vaccines, Joe Biden's war postures, COVID lockdowns, guns, Russia, the nomination fight, and a whole lot more. All of which is true.
A whole lot more. It's funny. I'm sitting here. We're on YouTube right now, so people on YouTube can see the lightning round sticker decal, as I like to call it, on your computer. And
all sold out, unfortunately, but I think we're getting more.
Kept saying yesterday, I don't know which of these two gentlemen, meaning you or Mr. Kennedy, is worse at lightning rounds. You two are just 2 peas in a pod. Okay, it's going to be a lightning round. 3 minutes later on one question, 5 minutes later, the man can talk.
TC, I could have...
Ironic with his voice that he can talk like as much
told
as he
you.
does.
Yeah, well, he's not in pain. It just sounds like he's in pain. As I told you earlier, I could have done an hour on the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
I could have done an hour on Sirhan and the RFK assassination. I could do an hour on his Fauci book.
I know.
It's very, very hard. I told you personally that this is the most difficult interview I can imagine doing. I said that in advance of the interview because I knew what he was like.
Right.
Very verbose.
Right.
But very interesting.
Well,
it's kind of intoxicating just to hear him get wound up on all these different subjects.
All these different subjects. institutional, I would say historically institutional knowledge, and he just goes. And the thing about it is it's so sort of fact and precision laden. Do you know that they're truly facts or they're truly precise?
Takes a lot of work.
I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know.
But on the very point that
very interesting.
On the very point that you are making, just about, the long-windedness of interviewing him, Mark says in the Wide World of News today, the New York Times write-up of the Musk session on the now infamous Twitter Spaces demonstrates what Mr. Kennedy is up against, especially when he is his own worst enemy, letting the appealing parts of his message and movement be drowned out by his comical lack of discipline and failure to separate that which the dominant media finds loopy, and which is, more often than not, actually loopy, from what might allow him to win many votes. That's true. I mean, he's not doing himself a favor by having such a long and meandering explanation on a variety of these things. He's got to get it down.
There were only a handful of truly good sound bites. And by that, I mean, not that what he had to say wasn't interesting, but
hard to cut.
Very hard to cut.
Yeah,
you and I both know it, right? Because we're looking at the tape, and the answers are this long, and you need this long.
By our standards yesterday, kind of weak voting at Smerconish.com, 16,934 votes cast, but a really interesting result. Media coverage of RFK Jr. Too much, too little, just right. And it breaks down roughly a third. The too muches were 35.94%. The just rights were 34.57%. And the too littles were 29.49%. Today's poll question, is Mike Pence a stronger candidate as a Trump acolyte or a Trump opponent? I think you might have a different answer for primary versus general. I mean, can you really be a stronger candidate if you're going? The problem for Mike Pence, and I've also said this previously, is he's in purgatory. He's in political purgatory. He's in no man's land or no person's land, meaning he's already upset the MAGA crowd because he didn't give Trump what he wanted on January 6th, and he's insufficiently an opponent of Donald Trump for the Trump opponents because he was such an acolyte of Donald Trump for the 4 years that Trump was president. So, here's Pence getting in. He's filed the official paperwork, and I guess he's going to make it official tomorrow. Chris Christie's going to make it official tonight. I see no path for Pence. So why is he getting in?
Why is he getting in?
Why is he getting in? What does he see that nobody else sees? And then I can tell you this could be the poll question tomorrow relative to Chris.
What is it going to be?
Maybe relative to Chris Christie.
Okay.
Is he getting in it to try and knock out Donald Trump generally, or because he thinks he can win? Like, what's the game? And I think,
I just want to be inside the really inner circle of all of these campaigns. See what they're really thinking, or maybe they're not.
I think there's a cottage industry out there keeping afloat people with political profiles. And if it doesn't work out, but you don't embarrass yourself, you get a book deal, you get a TV gig. In Christie's case, he goes back to ABC's Sunday morning show. I mean, that's what I imagine.
All right.
More headlines from Smerconish.com, the daily newsletter. A lot of attention on CNN. It seems like there's always a lot of attention on CNN.
Last few days especially.
But the last few days in particular, spurred by the fact that the CEO of CNN, Chris Licht, provided access to a reporter from The Atlantic who apparently has been working on this profile for months and months and months.
Oh, yeah.
And had unfettered access to Licht, spent a lot of time with him. The final portrait, not exactly flattering, somewhat embarrassing. And then others have glommed onto it, and some of those sort of gossip columns that write about CNN and like to try and peer behind the curtain. I'm totally out of the loop on the whole Atlantic thing. It's kind of amusing to me. I don't know if I read it. I don't know if I read this in The Atlantic, or if
you've read so much analysis.
Yeah, or if I read this in an analysis of The Atlantic. Okay. But I know that I saw that Tim Alberta, who wrote it, interviewed upwards of 100 people. And I guess this tells you where in Tim Alberta and the whole cottage industry I fall, because He didn't call me.
He never called
what
you.
What do you think if you're calling I would have nothing to say. First of all, I would have nothing to say.
Yeah.
But like, wouldn't you think
People
you get
can
the
reach
call?
you, though. Right.
But wouldn't you think, like, if you're calling 100 people, don't you get to the Saturday guy?
I would think so. I mean, I think so. Don't you get to all the anchors? I can see that you wouldn't get through the pundits,
Right.
But the anchors, at least to reach out to them.
I don't know.
There aren't that many of you.
Am I a pundit? Am I an anchor?
You're
Am
an
I
anchor.
pundit? What
What are you
exactly?
talking about? You have your own show. If you have your own show, you're an anchor.
I feel for Chris in this respect. People love. To tear down the person at the top.
Right.
By the way, there's always a comeback story. Okay,
Right.
there's
No question.
there's always we love it seems
Right.
through what's the German term, the
Schadenfreude.
We
Yeah.
love to see everyone's misery.
Misery loves company.
But we do love seeing you get up off the canvas
That's
too.
true. That's true.
Right?
Yes.
So there could be another chapter to this.
All
is
right.
perhaps what I'm saying, and I also feel for Chris because while he's had his, as John Podesta would say, time in the barrel. I get the idea that if I could spend time with a journalist who I can trust,
Yeah.
surely they will see the wisdom of what I'm doing.
Right.
I mean, I did that on a smaller scale years ago, and what did I get for it? I got a picture of me buck naked, in a magazine. So I get how...
How you can get bamboozled taking your clothes off.
I wasn't even bamboozled by the reporter. I think the reporter was my friend Larry Platt. I think I was
Did Larry
bamboozled by
Platt
the
write that-
photographer.
write that?
Maybe he was the editor at the time.
I think he was the editor at the time. I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think he was the author.
But
of that
it's hard.
piece.
Like, what do you
You
do?
did
How
end up
much
with
do
all
you
your clothes off.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, in my
And
driveway.
ladies and gentlemen, if you Google Michael,
Oh, please don't.
you can
please,
see it.
Please don't.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
was rather a shock to me too.
Let TC Google it.
What are you talking about? I already have that plastered all over my
Oh, I'm sure you
walls.
do. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to miss another story at Smerconish.com today. It's from, I think it's from Michigan Live, M Live. It's a 10-year-old
Yes.
driving mom's quote unquote stolen. I mean, he stole it, right?
Right.
He stole it.
It said stolen, and I was like, wait a minute, who stole the car, and why was the 10-year-old driving a stolen
Yeah.
car? And I was like, oh, no.
Let me
He's
say
the
it again. 10 years old. 10.
5 feet tall.
Because
It's 5 feet tall.
she was in Michigan and he wanted to go see her. Now, of course, his name is not printed. His name is,
And they stopped the video before you can recognize him.
right, and stopped the car with OnStar.
OnStar.
How do they do that?
To disable it. I didn't know you could do that.
And apparently, like,
I thought that was only Tesla.
Apparently, like, motorists were saying, "Hey, there's a kid driving a car,
Yeah.
and the car's going erratic."
Yeah, because probably couldn't see over that,
How could he see? How
I
could
don't
he
know.
reach the pedals?
I don't know.
But what I
But he was driving
wondering,
fast,
what I
too.
was wondering is this: I wish that I knew the identity of this young man and could
He's not a
put-
young man. He's a kid.
kid, right?
He's not a young. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
there's no.
He's a
He is
kid.
10.
He's 10.
10.
And could put it in a time capsule for, I don't know what, 20 years? Like 20 years?
Okay.
I'm so curious to know, and I hope good things, how his life turns out.
That's a really interesting question.
Like, is he going to be entrepreneurial? He's
I
a
don't know.
risk taker.
Yes.
Is he going to be a delinquent?
I don't know.
Because he broke the law. I mean,
Right.
what does the future
But he's
hold?
charged. Hang on. He's being charged.
Nah, they have to charge. He's already been released. He's not even in the
Facing
juvenile center
single
anymore.
counts of unlawfully driving away a motor vehicle.
Okay.
4th degree fleeing and eluding police.
TC.
And assaulting, resisting, or obstructing police.
Oh, he ran into the woods.
Yeah,
you know
he
that,
ran.
right? When they stopped his car,
Yeah.
he got out and ran in the
Yeah.
woods. The cops gave chase and they caught
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure his record will be expunged by, say, age 12.
I mean,
14,
maybe.
I mean,
If he
no,
keeps-
but
if he keeps
where,
his nose clean.
Where does he? This would have been a good call segment. Now
Right.
that I think about it. Like, what happens? And there have been other instances in
Yeah.
the past where kids have done brazen, I think
Right.
is the word I would use, things. So, yeah, anyway. One other thing, because I only have time for one more. There's a story about DNA being sucked into air filters and revealing what plants and animals are nearby.
Makes sense.
I just thought that was
read that
wild.
and I was like, this makes sense, though. Of course it does.
As animals and plants go through their life cycles,
they shed.
They leave little bits of themselves in the environment, scales, fur, feathers, pollen, which carry their genetic signature.
My hair is everywhere. I'm a disaster right now. I don't know why, but I can.
Are you
I can
shedding?
See, yeah, I'm shedding. So wherever I've been, you'll know it.
Final note, if I may. People who were there yesterday for RFK Jr., nice to see you. We're doing it again with Vivek Ramaswamy on June 20. If you'd like to be there, you have to, we ask you to please write a contribution to the Charles Blockson exhibition,
which is so cool,
at the Center Theater, but it's
special.
free. It's essentially free. People have fun. Yesterday, traffic, we had the mother of all shutdowns in Philly.
Yep.
I feel sorry for the people who couldn't get to the theater.
Yeah.
So consequently, we had some empties, even in an intimate setting, because of the closure of the Blue Route. But if you'd like to be there for Vivek, we'd love you to be there. Go to my Facebook page, and in the top banner, click on it. There's the information while tickets last, okay? Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Thanks for listening. See ya.